Hi everyone, this is the second video tutorial I'm doing on the Pop and Cuts card base die that is available from Stampin' Up. And I've gone through a video already on how to make a small gift card holder using just the die base without anything in it. I'm going to now show you, and the other video has the small gift card holder, hopefully you've all seen. And I did show you in that video that there's another version of the gift card holder that I've made using that die. And this one is a little bit more complicated, I won't lie, but it actually has a space for your gift card holder, a gift card at the bottom, and a writing panel to write your message. It's a little bit more complicated in that it's a little bit fiddlier to get the closure right, because the original Pop and Cut card base is designed to sort of close directly in half and the slots match up beautifully, but I've kind of manipulated a little bit, so it's a little bit tricky, but I want to show you how I do it, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to manage it yourself. So what you need for this one is you actually need a piece of cardstock that's going to be 12 inches in length. So you're going to use your 12 by 12 sheets of cardstock, and I cut it at about 4.5 inches wide and the full 12-inch piece of cardstock. I've gone ahead and stamped a pattern and done some spritzing on the inside of mine. I'm experimenting with making my own paper. I'm not sure how I like it just yet, but anyway, I digress, guys. What you're going to do with it is there's a score line here that I've made, which is 4.5 inches from the end of the piece of cardstock. So you're just going to put it in your score tool, score at 4.5 inches, and you're going to fold along that score line that you have made. Because what you want to do is you want to put it on the Pop and Cuts card base at, because if you leave it all the way in, let me show you like that, you'll cut off the end of the card, and you don't want the end cut off, so we need all of that length. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay like you would normally do, but have that folded piece up. So what you're going to do is you're just going to, and I'll zoom in hopefully so you can see what I'm doing here. It's very hard to see, but the top of the die is right there with that sort of ornate edge on the top. You're going to line your cardstock up, so just so that it meets where that that top cutting line is going to be. You want to make sure, of course, that it's, you know, as nice and as straight as you can get it, because you don't want a wonky card. So you also want it sitting on the die so it's nice and square. Run that through the Big Shot, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So after you've run it through the Big Shot machine, what you'll end up with is you'll see that you'll just get that area that cuts at the top. Whoops, and you'll have your card base cut, and you'll have a bit of scrap here. Now I think Karen recommends that you actually cut a piece that's 4 3/4 inches wide so that you've got a bit more scope with the sides of your card. But I'm a bit of a cardstock scrounge, so I cut mine quite short, but it would make it easier if it was a little bit wider. So that's what you're going to do, is you're going to have now that bottom folded edge, and then you've got a ornate top on that end. So then what you need to do is you need to get your score power back in here, and with the folded edge on the left hand side of your score tool, you're now going to score at 5.5 inches. Like that. And that's all the scoring that you need to do to make this gift card holder. You're going to fold along that score line there, and I'll get my bone folder, and you're going to fold that down. This cardstock's actually hideously busy to see what I've done there, but basically all you're going to do is pop it in, score it at 5.5 inches, and that folds the top down. Now in this piece that you folded up originally, you've got no slots to actually match up with these ornate little tabs here that are created by cutting with the die. That's not a problem. What I'm going to do though is that to keep with the kind of rounded edge theme of the die base, which I do like, I just take my corner rounder and round those 2 corners. Okay, we still don't have any slots, and what I actually do to make the slots is I use the Labels Collection framelits to make an overlay piece, which is what I'm going to put the slots for the closure in. Now this is the second largest framelits from the Labels collection, and I've just gone ahead and cut out a piece of designer series paper with using that second largest framelit, and this is what the slots for the closure actually go in. So to put this on the die, it's not overly intuitive the way you might think you would need to put it on the die base. It's kind of a bit of a reverse engineering. You sort of got to think about how you want your slots to look in the end. Anyway, I'll actually just show you how you want the slots to look. What you want to do, and I've purposely chosen this designer series paper for you so you can see the way up it goes, because with the leaf pattern, it just doesn't matter which way you put it into the die, you can always twist it around to get it up the right way. But if you want this so that your umbrellas, you know, are all up in the right direction to make your card make sense, I've chosen this piece to show you how you need to put it onto the die. So this is the end of the die that's got the slots in it. You're going to take your second largest framelit and you're going to place it on the die. And again, I don't like to measure. I like to use the points of reference off the die that we've got because I hate having to put my ruler on, but I just want to be able to see when I look at it if I've got it in the right place. So what I'm doing here, and again, I'll try and zoom in so that you can sort of see what I'm doing, but not so far, Tanya, that you can't see. So what I've got here is this ornate top along this edge here of the framelit. It's got this first little recess that kicks in before this little sort of lump thing comes out there. So technical. What I'm trying to do is that in the die, well, I've talked about this before, it's got a piece of 1.5 inch foam that sort of comes out from the base end. What I'm trying to do is line up the very first marks or the first indents on that framelit with the top edge of that foam piece, that I know how deep I'm going to put it down into the die. Now I'll do that roughly and show you. And you also want it centered. You want the even amount of gap on either side here. Okay, now I'm going to show you this piece of chalk or chuck that I think I called in the first video that I've created for just putting the slot marks in where I want them on whatever I put on this end of the die. It's basically made by using some thick chipboard, cutting it out, cutting out the end of that die pattern with the slots in it. I've cut 3 layers there and used Tombow glue to stick them together. I've cut them 1.5 inches except for this top one, which so I know that that's the width of that end part of the die, and I've put them together to use as the template, which then just pushes onto the paper enough to give me the slots and not this external cutting guide, because I actually want as much of that in place. And you can imagine this goes down the front of my card, so I don't want to cut it off by cutting around the die, because you'll cut that sort of end, you'll get a piece that looks like that if you sort of run it through. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting it in the die so that those top grooves are at the top of that bit of foam there. I'm placing my chalk piece here right on the die so that the base of these bits of chipboard line up with the end of the foam, because I know that this will push down and it won't cut that area around the outside because I've got nothing over the top of it. Now, the sandwich is exactly the same as when you're doing the small gift card holder. You're going to stick this die into the big shot with no plate underneath. It goes straight on the tray of the big shot. You're going to put your paper. You've got your little chuck piece here, and I just get a small acrylic plate. Mine's pretty yucky. And you're just going to put one small acrylic plate on the top. I feed it into the big shot. I would feed it in from, it sounds strange, but I'd feed it in from the opposite end just until your slots are cut, and then reverse it back out this direction. If you went all the way through, it shouldn't cut anyway if you've got your chalk in the right position, but I like to kind of edge my bets both ways and not tempt fate by going too far past it. All you really want is to put enough pressure to put the slots in this framelit that you've got positioned on there. Okay, so I'm going to do that and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I fed this through my big shot, guys. No plate underneath the die, the paper, my little chuck piece here, and a little top plate. Taking the top plate off, and hopefully then when I remove this little piece here, I won't have cut my framelit, which I haven't. Yay! It's all still in one piece. But what I have gone and done is I have cut my little tiny slots for my closure. So happy when it works like that. I recommend using designer paper that's a little bit busy too, because you can get some kind of creases in it, but once it's all together you don't really notice them. But you know, I like to use a bit of busy paper, and it kind of helps hide all those little bits that you might have gotten it perfect the very first time you've done it. Okay, so all it's a process of doing now is I would recommend, even though you can sort of measure it and you can be pretty sure, the way in which I know where I want to put my little underlaying piece of designer series paper, what are we going to do? Just roughly cut off the top section of that frame, because we're going to neaten it up at the top anyway. But what you want to do is tuck your tabs into those 2 slots that you've created by running that through the Big Shot, and use that as a guide for the placement of your framelit, because you could measure it and sort of put it on exactly where it's got to go, which is basically at the top of these rounded portions. But I would think that you'd be better off just putting it in, lining it up and sticking it down. That way you're going to be sure it's exactly where it needs to be. Now, to make putting the tabs into those slots a lot easier, I find that all you want to really do in terms of adhering this framelit, so I've got it sort of with the tabs in there that you can see, I just put a piece of double-sided tape between the 2 slots, there and there, and then I just get some snail adhesive and just, you know, run it on the rest of the framelit down that bottom edge. Don't sort of put any adhesives on this side, because it allows you to be able to get the tabs in and out a lot easier. Well, I think it does anyway. Oops, sticking to the bench top now. Okay, so what you're going to do is remove that tape backing. With the framelit, the slots in the framelit exactly where you want them so that they're going to be nice and even and neat, you're just going to close the card down. And that all sort of adheres, and then what will happen is you'll take the tabs out. Now that's pretty messy and it looks pretty awful, but all you have to do is open it up to the inside and then use that existing shape that you've got there to trim away that extra framelit. So you can do that with your paper trimmer, couldn't think of the word, or you can just do what I am and do it by hand. So once you've trimmed it by hand, you can just go back over the top with a corner rounder and remove those round slots. Voila! So from the inside it's all neat, and then when you turn it to the outside you've got this beautiful little decorative piece on there, and the 2 slots cut at exactly the right place. Ah! How cute is that? It's awesome. Okay, so all that's left to do, guys, is decorate it however you would like. I will show you the one thing that I'll quickly show you is that I've also used the top of the die to cut myself a little pocket, which just goes right down the bottom on that edge, the same edge that's got the, I'll show you, the framelit on there. I'm just going to put it down there. Now I cut this piece 2 inches by 4.5, and then I just placed it on the die as close as you could to the top ornate edge, and it just cuts that little top off for you. Okay guys, so I have decorated it. This is the most busiest thing I think I've ever created. I'm not sure I even like it, but hopefully it just shows you what you can do with the die, and don't take any of my decorating tips on board with this one. I think it might be a bit too late at night. I think I've gone a little bit out there with this, but all I've done is I've used the second smallest framelit to create a little label for the front. It also allows you a bit more sort of room to pick up that top, so when it opens again. I've attached the top of that die again for a gift card, which I'll show you. We'll just slide in there nicely like that. There's a space here for you to write your message, and the outside sort of border, or the size that I cut these to, is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and that fits nicely inside that, and you can obviously frame it down to do whatever you like there. It folds up, it folds down, and those 2 tabs just sit nicely in the slots, and then you've got a beautiful gift card holder. I hope that helped, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know, and if you have any tips about how I can tone down this card, I'd be appreciative. All right, enjoy that one, guys. Bye.